Broadcasting from Millvale Studios, you are listening to Funny Money on the River's Edge Network. I'm your host, Tom Henry, and with me is Brian Crawford, our producer. How you doing, Brian?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. So I'm going to delve right into it. What we're talking about, it sounds kind of boring, but it's actually really interesting. It's financial data services. And by that, I mean the companies that provide Wall Street firms with the data that they use to analyze stocks, like kind of like we're doing a little bit of here.
All right.
Um,
There's nothing boring about that.
Nothing boring. So the first one I want to talk about is Morningstar, and that's run by a guy named, or it was founded by a guy named Joe Mansueto. He's no longer the CEO, so he's not running it currently. But like I was looking at his picture, and because one of the articles I read said he's a dead ringer for Michael Moriarty,
Uh-huh.
who is one of the actors from Law and Order.
Okay, so
He's
a
like
different
one of
Michael Moore than the guy who does the documentaries. The big guy that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, not Michael Moore, Michael Moriarty. Okay.
Moriarty.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Isn't that like a villain in Doctor, like in like
well, there's
in
Dr.
Holmes?
Moriarty is the,
Yeah.
right, isn't that like
Sherlock
Sherlock's
Holmes.
brother?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's, all right. So, at any rate, the guy played like the assistant DA. And if you Google it, all right, his name is Joe Mansueto, Mansueto, and look at the images. You might know who that actor is that they're talking about.
Wait, what's his name again? Let me look it up.
Joe Mansueto,
Joe.
Mansueto.
All right, we're gonna look up an image. Okay, black and white. I got a black and white of him here. We're gonna show the image right here for those of you who are watching. For those of you who aren't, look back at the video. It's like an older guy, like kind of like I don't know. He kind of looks like he's not going bald, but he's like on the cusp.
Yeah,
of going bald.
right. So there was a assistant DA in Law and Order who looked like that. At any rate, so Joe Mansueto was born in Munster, Indiana, in 1956. His father, a doctor, raised his son in Munster, and Joe attended Munster High School. Joe was a quiet and contemplative boy. All right. Oh, by the way, the sources here are Wikipedia, as always, ChicagoMagazine.com, an article called The Quiet Billionaire, and that's June 20th, 2006, by John Cook. And the other source is WSJ.com, which is the Wall Street Journal's website.
I wonder how they feel, the Wall Street Journal, that they're compared to Wikipedia on a weekly basis.
Well, it's not that they're. I mean, I have to go to them separately.
Yes.
So it's not like they're exactly the same thing.
Sure.
I doubt they care.
Yeah.
All right.
Not.
So,
All right.
Joe was a quiet and contemplative boy. Okay. He excelled in his studies. And after graduating from high school, Joe went on to University of Chicago, which is an excellent school. And then he went for his graduate. He went to get his MBA right after graduating college at University of Chicago, which is one of the top MBA programs and very difficult, from what I understand. He met his wife there at University of Chicago. But going back to his childhood, as a child, Mansueto was a ham radio enthusiast. You know what that is?
No, it's like the.
It's like super long range
Yeah,
radio.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
Which is sort of moot in this day and age, you know? But
I feel like the people would get into it like they, get into like old crap now, just to seem like they're they're hip.
Yeah.
Like,
it
look how retro I am.
We're going to use something that's completely,
Irrelevant.
way behind it. Yeah, I know, right. That has no purpose. We're going to go back and use something less efficient. That does seem to be a trend.
And I'm going to be
these days.
cooler than you because I do it.
Yeah, I know, right.
Yes.
Right. I make all my furniture by hand.
Yes.
That type of thing. So, yeah, it's very hipster. as a child, he was a ham radio enthusiast, and his first successful act of entrepreneurialism was when at a ham festival. I like that they call it that. I'm like imagining something entirely different, but probably a lot
That could
more
be
fun.
fantastic.
A
Yeah,
lot more fun.
well, I think like our version of a ham festival
Ham
would be so
festival.
much better. Like
I know.
at Grist House the other day, they had like that pig roast. Like to me,
Mhm.
that's a ham
Mm.
festival.
So good, fresh. Oh, so good. Sorry for all you vegans listening.
No, we're not.
I
Get
know,
with the
right?
program. You know, meat is good. It tastes delicious.
It does. Um, okay, so he saw at the ham festival a receiver that was on sale at a steep discount, and this is from the Chicago Magazine article, "The Quiet Billionaire." He says, "quote I knew it was worth say $300, and this guy was selling it for $100. I remember borrowing $100 from the kid's father who brought me, and I went." And I sold it for about $300. I was in heaven. Okay, it's an amazing story,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of funny how, like everything I read about this guy sort of emphasizes his entrepreneurial, like nature. You
Mhm.
know, so it was like ingrained in him early. You know, he did a lot of things in school. Oh yeah, okay, I'll tell you a little more. At University of Chicago, he and his roommate launched the Room 607 soda service out
What's
of their
that?
dorm room. Okay, and this is Joe again. Quote, we found you could call the Coke distributor and he'd roll up 10 cases of Coke to your room.
Mm-hmm.
Students would stop by 24 hours a day for soda and chips. And then, okay, he and his roommate pulled in about $500 profit each quarter, you know, by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The annoying thing would be that you have to be open 24 hours.
And especially if you're running it out of your dorm room,
Yeah, I
what do you
know.
just like
Do you never
never
sleep?
sleep? Yeah.
I
Well,
know.
I mean, I don't know. I can't. I sleep through my alarms, and I would sleep through my phone, so I couldn't do something like that.
No, you could not.
No.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yes. Yeah.
I-
Once I'm out, I'm out.
Yeah.
So.
After school, Mansueto was obsessed with investing. All right, you know that's kind of a natural thing to move from that. Well, you're investing when you're like buying something low and selling it higher.
Mhm.
You know, no matter what you're doing. So he was obsessed with investing, and began investing in mutual funds in the early '80s. Mutual funds at the time were a relatively small phenomenon, and there was no single source of information on them showing like performance holdings and all that. So the only way to get that information was to order each fund's prospectus individually, which is what Mansueto did. And then this is another quote from him from that article. I thought, boy, wouldn't it be really interesting if somebody compiled all these things into a compendium? I mean, yeah, he's probably the only guy who thought that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have to make these calls every 3 months. I can understand that. All right. Gee, maybe this could be a business. And so he founded Morningstar, okay, which is today a huge
Mhm.
firm that provides information, all sorts of financial information. Okay, he founded Morningstar, which he ran out of his living room in his one-bedroom Chicago apartment with $80,000 in initial funding. Okay, he got the name Morningstar from the last sentence of Walden,
Mhm.
which is, if you know, a book by Henry David Thoreau. I never read it, so I'm not like claiming to have.
Yes.
But
You're not looking down on anyone. Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
You don't know Thoreau.
right, Thoreau.
What's wrong with you?
The sun is but a morning star, is the quote from that. That's the last sentence of the book. Okay. All right. So the name was good, worked out, and his timing was great. When he started Morningstar, there were 1,200 mutual funds with $370 billion in assets. okay, which sounds, like a decent market there. But by 2006, there were over 8,000 funds with more than $8 trillion in assets. And throughout that period of massive growth, Morningstar was virtually the only game in town
Mm-hmm.
for getting info on mutual funds. So you can imagine the demand for that info grew quite a bit. And they went public in 2005. Today, the company is worth $3.15 billion, and Joe still owns 55% of the shares. All right.
I know this is completely like off topic,
Yeah,
but are there benefits to not going public?
absolutely. There are you're scrutinized a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
Would be one benefit. Um, you're not. You don't have to have. There's a lot of rules you don't have to follow
Mm-hmm.
if you're private compared to if you're public. There's different categorizations of public companies also. And to get like the highest category, you have to follow more rules than the lowest category. So all of that is a benefit. You tend to raise more money when you're public. If you don't need to, then don't. Say the ownership is say you own 100% of a company. Well, if you go public, you're going to wind up giving away some of that 100%.
Yeah.
So if you don't need to give away ownership and you think the ownership would be more valuable,
Mm-hmm.
then that would be a very good reason for not going public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Aldi, they're private. They're like one
Yeah.
of the top 10 largest retailers in the world.
Yeah, there are a lot of, there are some surprisingly large companies that are private.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good for the owners.
Yeah.
So in this case, looking at this company in its metrics today, they look pretty decent. I see the PE is 21. They pay a 1.26% dividend, which is something. Return on invested capital, 20.29%. So, you know how I compare the PE and the ROIC, that's the return on invested capital. And look at these numbers are nearly identical. So to me, that indicates that the company, just those two things indicate the company is roughly priced about right, or maybe a little underpriced. Okay. Then I look at the next thing, net debt to equity, no net debt, meaning they have more cash than they do debt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a bonus. So already when I'm looking at these things, I think that the company is undervalued and it would be a good buy. But then I look at the last thing. All right. Growth of less than 1% expected in 2017. And then I begin to think about the whole company. All right. So this is Morningstar, a business that, at the time when he founded it in 1984,
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't any competition. No one was doing it. And it was a great business, all the way through 2006. But then a lot of competitors started to get larger, really, or enter the fray with them. So
Well, they saw the success, you think, and
yeah, sure. So, and I look at their margins, so I'm looking at, like, if I look at their operating margin, and that operating margin means it's the money that they get from selling their product
mm-hmm.
minus all the costs that go into making the product, and then minus all the expenses that go into the budget, like advertising, marketing, the utilities, for all the staff. So, and then those margins are decreasing, the operating margin, meaning it looks like the competition is pricing the product down and so that they're not getting as much. And so that's why their growth is so low. It's kind of like a stagnant business.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have anything innovative here, you know? So I don't really like to put my money into something like that,
Mm-hmm.
even though it looks kind of cheap. Okay? That's why it looks kind of cheap. All right, so let's take a quick break and then we'll come back with the next company, which I think is a bit more exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Electricity.
Hey, listen up for some sweet pizza discounts. The River's Edge is partnering with Frank's Pizza and Chicken to offer you 10% off your ZA. That's short for pizza.
Seriously? Za?
What?
Anyway, mention you heard this ad and Frank's will give you 10% off your order of $15 or more.
Oh my god, have you tried their famous buffalo chicken pizza?
Oh, don't even get me started. Can you name all 4 Frank's locations?
Millville, obviously. Troy Hill, Shaler, and North Hills.
Gold Star. Anyway, support the River's Edge Radio Network by ordering from Frank's Pizza and Chicken the next time you get hungry for some za. And don't forget to mention you heard this ad so you get your 10% off. Go to frankspizzachicken.com for more info.
Offer good for a limited time. Order mostly $15 or more before taxes. Cannot be combined with other discounts or offers. Other legal jargon and whatnot.
Okay, here we are. Welcome back to Funny Money, and we're going to talk about our second stock now. The first one that we talked about was Morningstar, and it's an interesting story, and one, it's a great company that made a lot of money, and it was innovative at the time, but the main thing is it's no longer really innovative now, and I don't see that they have any coals in the fire to do something exciting with the money that they're making. So I'm going to pass on that one. The next one is a smaller company. Oh yeah, I should tell you that Morningstar. Okay, this is a great example of what I'm talking about with Morningstar.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the stock was in 2014 $72.63. Today, the stock is $72.89.
Okay.
Okay, so it went up like 25 cents in
So it's
three-
not doing
3
much.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
so it's stagnant.
At least you know you're not going to lose, right? I mean, it's going to
I mean-
probably. I mean, if you do, it's not going to be like.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't expect to lose much on that. It's pretty. The price is right. Okay, so this other company is smaller, more aggressive play.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you about it. Okay. Oh, by the way, I own neither of these stocks, and neither does my family or my employer. So this and the information I get for this company, which is FactSet Data Systems, is from Wikipedia and WSJ, the Wall Street Journal's website, and Yahoo Finance,
Ooh.
finance.yahoo.com.
Yahoo's slipping into the mix.
Yeah. Okay. So Howard Willie. Now I like this guy's name. Howard Willie and Chunk, Chunk, Chunk
Okay,
Snyder.
where are these people from? Where are they from?
I know.
He got a piece of chunk in his throat.
I know, right?
No, I mean seriously, the Chunk. What's his last name again?
Chunk Snyder.
Chunk Snyder.
I think that's a great name.
And what? Will Willis or Will Willies? Or
Howard Willie.
Howard Willie. Okay.
All right.
Alabama,
I don't.
Tennessee.
You know what? I couldn't get anything on their backgrounds. Like there wasn't that much. These guys aren't that well known. You know,
Okay.
this company is pretty small still. Okay, but it started actually before Morningstar. All right, but it took a different approach, so it wasn't really a direct competitor
Mm-hmm.
for a while until now, like till more recently. All right, so Howard Willie and Chunk Snyder founded FactSet in 1978. The two had worked together on Wall Street for Faulkner, Dawkins, and Sullivan, which got acquired by Shearson.
Mm-hmm.
And as computers became more prominent in the end of the 70s, Willie and Chunk thought the industry was changing. Okay, they decided to set out on their own and test the idea for a company that could deliver computer-based financial information. All right, so they were kind of like already on the next wave. Morningstar was sending out booklets,
Mhm.
and papers. They're already working on the digital version of that. All right. So at the time, companies had to buy raw data directly from a vendor such as CompuStat, and then hire programmers to make the data user friendly. So, that seems so ridiculous. You hire your own programmers, each one has to do that. Willie and Chunk's vision was to offer data directly to the client.
Okay.
They should have called their company Willie and Chunk.
That would be fantastic.
I know.
That would be a name. If they wanted to be known, that's the way to get known.
Yeah, yeah. Willie and Chunk. I know, right? It's a standout
Chunky
name.
Willie. Willie's chunks.
Yeah, FactSet is so boring sounding.
Yeah.
Willie and Chunk sounds fun.
That does. I mean, that would be. It's catchy.
Yeah. Okay, so they wanted to, they wanted to get that info, like the CompuStat info, whatever. The CompuStat was like a company that would, compile all sorts of different data and then sell it.
Okay.
Okay, and so they wanted to have that data already in a usable format and get it immediately to the customer. All right, so in the early 80s, FactSet had fewer than 10 employees. So, and that was for a while.
Mm-hmm.
In 1981, Chunk figured out a way to download data from the FactSet computer into VisiCalc, rather. Okay. I think that's some I don't know what VisiCalc is. I think it's like some outdated program or something.
Yeah, I never heard of that.
Okay, but this meant that clients could retrieve data from a database directly into a spreadsheet, which is huge. If you've running an office,
Yeah.
it's so annoying to have to transcribe
Oh, yeah.
stuff. You have to have someone to do that.
Well, that's awful because that's a lot of payroll. I know, just
Yeah.
looking at like us in the music festival in today's day and age, we were able to use like cloud service type stuff, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
could just automatically have it shared and
Oh, that's
linked.
so
And
nice.
yeah, I couldn't even imagine a day when
Yeah,
you got
had
like
to-
the person like in the like you look at like a courtroom where they type something up and then it has to like get sent out to the media, and it's just like
You have
all
to
of
have like 5 data entry
Yeah.
people for everything. So okay, doing
computers
this,
taking people's jobs.
yeah, yeah, but I don't know. Then there's people. Then there's this company creates jobs,
True,
and
true.
that wouldn't be there without the computer.
Very fair.
All right, so okay, this obviously made life easier for Wall Street. They didn't have to have all these back office employees. By 1995, the company had about 400 customers. So that doesn't sound like so many. So it's still a small company by this, but the customers included all the nation's top investment managers. All right, so they were clearly like the preferred, elite sort of product for the top of the pack, which is a good thing to be, because then it sort of, if people are like, oh, the pros are using it, then it sort of trickles down.
True, yeah.
Like,
It's kind of like how everybody
pro
has
golfer,
Adobe
yeah.
products because they know the pros use it.
Yeah, exactly. So Willie retired as chairman and CEO in that was 2000, and Chunk stepped in for a few months before they elected Phil Hadley CEO. Okay, but so this is a relatively young operation, but it's become a lot bigger recently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a lot of good growth, and it's been, finding good ways to use more modern technology to get financial information to the firms, like in real time and all sorts of things. They're very innovative with their technology. So
Mm-hmm.
they're still a favorite of the top firms. And they have a PE of 19.27, a dividend of 1.37%. So very similar to Morningstar, not nothing dividend. Now here's the catch: ROIC 49%. All right, so that ROIC stands for return on invested capital. And that represents how much earnings all of the invested capital in the company is making. What percent of the investment do you get back, in a 1 year time? Well, if you get back 49%, that's a darn good investment. All right. And so then the PE represents the price. So 19.27 is a steep discount for a 49% return. So then I look at the next thing, net debt to equity, 37%. While that is still very good, it's I look at 65% as kind of like the cutoff between good and bad. It's not as good as Morningstar, which had no debt. They have some debt. So this is a riskier, more aggressive play. But
with risk, there's more potential for reward, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the return here, 49%. And then also, analysts are expecting 10.2% growth, which is way better than 1%. Or it was actually less than 1%, but I rounded it. So at any rate, I like this company a lot. It's interesting. It's based in Connecticut.
Is it a buyer?
Oh, yeah. All I know is that these guys lived in New York and then Connecticut because they moved to the company headquarters. I don't know where they originated from. But I like it a lot. Wait, what was your question?
Is it a buyer? Is it a winner?
Yeah, definitely. I like it. I mean, I'm going to look at it. I don't own it, but I'm seriously considering it. All right. I suggest you do more due diligence on it than what I just told you, which is kind of bare bones. Do a little more research on it. But my initial impression is very favorable. I'm still going to look at it a little closer, make sure they don't have any like lawsuits hanging over their head or something weird. Right.
Skeletons in their closet.
Yeah, but I couldn't see any when I was looking at it today. So with that, I give a firm thumbs up to FactSet. The symbol is FDS. And a neutral to Morningstar, which would be like, which is a hold. If you already own it, don't need to sell it, but otherwise don't buy it. All right. So it's been fun. It's been real. And with that, we're out of funny money.